We are glad to see you again on our channel, and today we have a review of the movie in which the alien mimics attack the Earth. The military is preparing a special operation in which Major Cage unwillingly is one of the participants. He dies on the battlefield, but comes to his senses and realizes that he is experiencing the same day over and over again. He meets Rita, who also travels through time, and the characters begin to figure out how to destroy the enemy. Near future. The Earth is attacked by an alien race, aliens mimicking, capturing all of Europe. Evacuation of key government figures continues. All over the news are clips about the attacks. The military of all countries is united to jointly defeat the enemy. The most famous military, Sergeant Rita, with the help of a new suit, an exoskeleton, destroyed hundreds of aliens, for which she was nicknamed Angel Verdun. Military Cage says that Operation Invasion will be the largest and the military will succeed. They are determined to win with the help of new technologies. London. Major Cage from the US Defense Army Press Service arrives by helicopter to General Brigham on the Western Front. He is met on the runway and escorted inside to the General Cage. The men discuss Operation Invasion. United coalition strikes from France, the Mediterranean, Scandinavia. They plan to create tension on the Eastern Front and allow the Russians and Chinese to throw the enemy back and then meet in the middle. General Brigham clarifies that many soldiers will die and people will blame him for their deaths. Cage says that a general could write a memoir, make a career in politics, or say that it's already been written. People love such things. General Brigham says that the major did not understand him. He wants the operation to be presented in a favorable light. General Brigham also says that Cage flies to the coast in an hour. The operator is already waiting for him. Major is being sent to the front line, to France, to the beach. The general claims that there are few opponents, but Cage will have something to tell his grandchildren. Cage thanks for the trust, but replies that he does not pry into the inferno, but specifically works more like a journalist, in the shadows. The man says he was trained in college when the war started, but he's not a soldier. He's just a PR officer. General Brigham says he understands everything and therefore sends several thousand trained soldiers with the major. Cage pronounces that he is forced to refuse and is laughing, says that he cannot stand the sight of blood. He also says he could recommend a few men who are more suited to fight. General Brigham says that this is not an offer, but an order. The major tries to say that the general has no authority and that he obeys his commanding officer, but General Brigham interrupts, saying that he spoke to major superiors and now a man is under the general's command. General Brigham says that his secretary will tell Cage all the details and ends the dialogue by looking at his documents. Cage is already beginning to leave, but stops and says that he has already inspired millions to join the army, and if he wants, he will be able to blame the general for all future deaths. General Brigham asks if it is blackmail, and Cage replies that he does not want to go to the front and shoot a report there. General Brigham orders the guards to arrest the major as a deserter. Cage tries to escape, but in the corridor the soldiers paralyze him with a taser and he loses consciousness. General Brigham. Cage wakes up in Heathrow, a military base in a suburb of London. The military tells the hero to stop lying around. Later, Master Sergeant Farrell approaches Cage and asks how to help him. The major tries to explain that he is here by mistake and asks for the phone to call. Sergeant Farrell explains that there are training groups of soldiers and they are preparing for the offensive. Everything is secret and no phone calls. Cage says that he was framed and he doesn't belong here, insisting on calling. Sergeant Farrell promises to take care of the major and asks him to follow him. Sergeant Farrell. Along the way, Sergeant Farrell retrieves a letter saying that Cage is a deserter and was caught impersonating an officer. It also says that Cage will ask for a phone call and could jeopardize the entire operation in order not to engage in a fight tomorrow. The sergeant escorts the major to the barracks. He explains that the rumors are spreading very quickly and everyone around him will think him a coward, but it can still be corrected. In battle, as in battle, all sins are healed and man is hardened. Cage enters Sergeant Farrell's unit and notices that soldiers gamble and force them to eat the cards. Pronounced training and discipline make us masters of fate. Sergeant Farrell tells everyone that the major is a deserter and puts them in charge of his preparations for the battle. Sergeant Farrell also says that if a man tries to escape, the soldiers will teach him the wisdom and the intelligence. The radio says that in 10 minutes the soldiers have physical training. The next morning, all the soldiers and Cage wear new iron suits. Cage says he can hurt someone, but they tell him the gun's on the safety, but it doesn't matter where he is. The sergeant asks Griff to look after Cage in battle, saying that it is unlikely that the man will last long. Planes with soldiers fly out. A minute before the landing, Cage tries to clarify how to remove the safety from the weapon, but something crashes into their plane, and the soldiers have to jump. Cage jumps. Shells fly everywhere, downed planes, and soldiers fall. Cage falls to the ground. He raises his head and sees Rita in front of him. He just looks at the girl for a couple of seconds, and then she dies like many others around. Rita. Cage is attacked by a gray-blue alien. Cage tries to shoot him, but his weapon reloads, so the man reaches for the mine and blows the alien with him. All Cage's face is in the blood of the monster. Cage wakes up on a military base, again. Cage understands that he is not dead, and everything repeats itself. It has already happened. On the battlefield, Cage repels Rita to save her, and the girl takes out the battery from the Cage's suit, and he again dies. The next time, Cage immediately comes to his senses. He begins to anticipate and voice Sergeant Farrell's actions, but his mouth is simply taped with tape. Cage saves Rita and the girl utters the phrase, "Find me when you wake up." Cage again dies. KJ awakens again and jumps into a military car to find Rita. He finds a girl in the training room and tells her that they will see each other tomorrow. Rita says, not to tell anyone but her. Rita asks KJ how he died. KJ explains that he took the life of an alien mimic who was large, blue, and he sprayed the man with blood. Rita also lives in a time loop, saying she needs the help of a major to win the war. Rita leads KJ to Dr. Carter and reveals that the major will die tomorrow on the beach during a battle. Dr. Carter is the only one who knows what's going on. He was a microbiologist in the past, and now he knows and understands alien mimics better than anyone. Dr. Carter begins to tell the major that mimics are not army, but a single organism. There are usual mimics. There are mimics. Alphas like the one Cage took life. Alphas are very rare, 1 in 1.5 million. These mimics act like a geocentral nervous system with an Omega brain that controls everyone. Omega can control time. As soon as the Alpha dies, the automatic reaction is triggered and the Omega starts the day again. But this time he remembers everything. An enemy who knows the future can't lose. Kage asks Rita how she then won at Verdun, and he is told that they were allowed to win. But in fact, it is only a decoy, and Omega wants them to throw all their forces into battle, and Operation Invasion will be a victory point, not theirs, but the enemy. Dr. Carter says that they have a well-developed organism, and there are still millions of them, and they're waiting to crash into a world with the right conditions. All they need to do is attack the dominant life form, and nothing will stop them from taking over the world. Rita explains to Kage that by killing the Alpha, he has seized Omega's ability to control time. Omega's organism is also vulnerable, and its weakness is human nature. Cage now restarts the day like Rita in Verdun. Rita says that KJ must die every day until the Omega dies. KJ says that they need to tell the general, but Rita has already tried a dozen times and everything is useless. Rita also says that soon KJ will have visions, in which he will see the location of the Omega Center. He must deliver Rita to the center and help her defeat the Omega. Rita herself failed to reach the target because she lost the ability to time travel before she found the Omega. Dr. Carter. Rita and Keiji begin training so that Keiji can disable mimics. Keiji dies over and over again. She explains to Keiji that if he is wounded, he must die, or else he will lose the ability to travel through time. Once again, KJ realizes that he had visions. He comes to Rita and Dr. Carter and says there was a dam and a German inscription. Rita says that KJ must figure out how to get them off the beach, where they must die. Many attempts fail. In one attempt, KJ escapes to London and sees that if they do nothing, the mimics will take over the city. But once again trying to get off the beach, Kajay and Rita manage to get in the car and drive away. Kajay tells the girl that he knows her middle name and her brother. Then he discovers a wound on Rita's back and gives her first aid. The heroes are going to fly further in the helicopter, but Kajay tells Rita that she always dies at this place. He cannot save her. He understands that the next step is to act alone. At the next rebirth, Cage comes to Rita, but at the last moment changes his mind and begins to act on his own. Cage gets to the place from the visions, to the abandoned dam in Germany. But there he stumbles upon the Alpha Mimica, who tries to grab the man. Kajay realizes that the visions are a mimic trap, not an Omega location. Kajay informs Dr. Carter and Rita. Dr. Carter says he has a device to help find Omega if it's connected to Alpha, but it is in the possession of General Brigham, who took it away from the doctor, thinking it was delusional. Rita and Cage go to General Brigham. The characters tell him what is going on, and Cage anticipates each action of the general in advance. General Brigham says that it is possible to explain all this logically, yet gives away the device, but tells the guards to detain the heroes. Rita and Cage leave by car. Cage uses the device to see the location of Omega. This is Paris. One of the guards catches up with the car with the heroes and destroys it. Cage awakens in the hospital, tied to the bed. The man realizes that he was given a blood transfusion and did not die immediately, which means he lost the ability to control time. Rita comes to him and tries to deprive the man of his life to overload, but Kajay tells her everything. The girl frees Kajay. Kajay tells everything to the J unit, asking for help from the boys. At first, they are not very ready to fight for the Major, but seeing Rita, agree. KJ says, tomorrow's beach operation is suicide and everyone dies, but it can still be changed. A platoon hijacks a helicopter and heads for Paris. KJ tells the soldiers in no way to take the life of Alpha, or else Omega will reboot the day, and they won't even remember anything. KJ says sacrifice themselves if necessary. When approaching the Louvre, the helicopter is shot down by mimics, and the soldiers have to jump from it on the move. Half of the platoon is killed immediately. Cage is trying to repair the helicopter using force levers to get to the entrance of the museum. There are a lot of mimics around. The platoon cover Rita and Cage. All soldiers die when the heroes manage to repair the helicopter and take off. Rita and Kajay fly a helicopter to the museum, and they are chased by mimics who surround the heroes, clinging to the helicopter. The heroes find themselves in an abandoned car park and blow up the passageway. They see the Alpha and hide. Rita tells Kajay that she will distract Alpha so the man can act. The girl kisses Kajay and says goodbye to him. Rita leaves, while Kajay dives into the water, where at the bottom of the flooded hall, there is the Omega. Alpha takes Rita's life and catches up with Kajay. Kajay manages to pull the fuse out of the grenade and detonates the Omega. Mimics can do nothing else. Kajay himself is badly injured. He floats on the water. The blood from Omega spreads in the water and gets on Kajay's body. Kajay recovers on the plane, on the way to General Brigham. General Brigham, at a meeting of all officers, says that there was a surge of energy in Paris and that the mimics ceased their resistance. Kajay realizes that all events have changed. Since he did not land on the operation, he did not die. Kage returned at a moment from the past that became the K. The man remembers absolutely everything that happened to him. Cage comes to the base to Rita and meets with a girl, only as a major. This film is Edge of Tomorrow, made by the United States and Canada, in the genres of fiction, action, adventure, military, directed by Doug Liman.